If there is imminent threat, then yes, we would make the call to deploy firearms.
I'm your host, Michelle, and it's time to clock in.
What's up, guys? As you can see, we're not in lockdown anymore, but we're still being safe. Everybody aside from me are wearing their masks, we're socially distancing, and we're keeping safe and doing our part. So today we'll be clocking in with a very interesting profession called close protection officers. I'm sure you guys have seen movies like The Hitman's Bodyguard or even the series The Bodyguard. Anyway, we'll be speaking to the MD of Atlas Solutions, Clement. Let's go clock in.
Hi there, I'm Clement. I'm Managing Director of Atlas Solutions and I've been doing this for 4 years.
So what kind of clients or principals would you usually get?
The first one being corporate. The other side of things is ultra high net worth individuals, aka rich people.
Very rich people.
Yeah, well, ultra rich, right? So we meet with the client and we go through a template of details such as why exactly do you want this protection? Perhaps they may be at risk or maybe they just want to look good.
Let's take me as a case study. I'm a rich kid, but I'm not like a high profile person, but I want to be protected from a digital stalker. How much would that cost me roughly?
At first I'd ask you, how long would the protection be?
A couple of months?
Okay, then I would bill you the absolute minimum for that, maybe 8,000 to 9,000 ringgit a month for that.
A month?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about $2,000 US. Once we build a principal profile, we can then proceed to estimating resources for the job.
Right, you get to know them first. So after getting this information, how do you develop it into a plan?
Planning usually takes between 3 to 5 days. If principal wants to leave his home and back every day, just map the route out. If it's a business trip, we send a security advance party out who travel to the location first and they map out safe houses, route A, route B, what happens if the proverbial hits the fan, what do we do? And then after that, we present the plan to the client.
After you've gotten the plan and everything has been finalized, what then happens to the plan? How do you execute it?
There will be a briefing in there. Everyone gets assigned a different role. You've got the security advance party, and then you've got the driver, obviously, surveillance officers, personal escort section, the group of people who are actually escorting the principal. Within that, you have got the principal protection officer, right? The person that you see right next to the principal.
So I understand in your company, Atlas, you call clients principals. What is the reason behind that?
But the difference is a client is the person who pays you the money. A principal is the individual whom you are protecting. So we're just about to conduct a briefing. Why don't you come with us and we'll show you how it's done.
Sure. Alright, so now we went through the briefing, right? And the planning and everything. What goes into executing it now?
The first thing we do is we make sure that the right people are placed in the right positions. We've got an operations manager here who stays in the office. We make sure everything goes as planned. And then after that, we send the drivers down to check on the vehicles.
What I'm going to run through right now is an 8-point car check. First thing, which is the environment check. No shady guys standing in a corner or anything like that. We're good. That's when we move to the second step, which is around the car. We look at the fine details outside the external of the car first before we go to internal. Like, front of the grille where you can slide something inside, kind of thing like that. The next one is we look underneath the car. What we do is we get a mirror, we sweep the bottom. If everything is good, then we can move to internal. So the internal, what we're going to start off with the bonnet. Part of the engine, we check it through and everything, make sure everything's all right, and then we move on to the back of the car. So at the back of the car, some cars got different parts or tools and maybe a spare tire. We need to check all those are still there and everything like that. Now we're done with the back and front, we can go internal of the car. Just open the door, see no one has tampered with anything. Steering wheel is fine, seat is fine, everything works in working order. And then we would check the back of the car also, because that is where usually our client would be. So whatever stuff that's not supposed to be there should be removed or checked out. So now that I've gone through the additional stuff at the back and the interior of the car, we can go on to starting the car up and picking up our client.
Once the drivers conduct their checks, the CP officers get their equipment sorted out for the job. After they collect their first aid kit, we also make sure that the radios, make sure they're all tuned to the same channel, and everybody then receives a briefing on what's going on. So then we actually execute the operation. We speak to the principal and go, okay, all right, sir, we're going to pick you up from your residence. Once the operation is executed, you get the advance party scouting out the areas ahead. You get the PPO introducing themselves to the principal. And half of the time, you'll probably see the principal with one of our guys, and you'll probably think that the guy is the lawyer, an employee, or an aide. And the rest of the CP officers will be in the background, and you wouldn't even see them. And you don't say, oh, let's take the principal from his residence to the office. No, location 1, location 2, L1, L2.
Coming back to the first aid, right? If let's say your principal actually has a certain health condition, do you have to train up on the necessary steps to take?
We have had principals, they go into anaphylaxis, like allergic to peanuts, allergic to this sort of stuff. Yeah. It's very important that we know what sort of medication they're on to administer to them in case anything goes wrong. But of course, that all goes into our threat and risk profiling.
It's a lot of details that you have to go through.
Yeah, it's not as simple as just going open doors. We don't do that. So.
Sure. Right.
Every CP officer is actually equipped with a personal first aid kit. As a matter of fact, in England, if you want to get your SIA Close Protection Officer license, you need to have a first aid qualification as well as the CP qualification.
What about communications? Because you talked about different types of radios, right? What happens if you go to an area that does not have any reception and you're far away from people? Then how do you communicate?
We call that a communications black spot. On the off chance that communication is disrupted, we have pre-planned destinations. So if X happens, we meet here at every 20 minutes. Either it's a police station or whether it's like the residence upstairs. But then when you move to location 2, different safe houses. And when you're driving from location 1 to location 2, you need to identify different safe houses within a region. So a lot of planning and preparation goes into this that they're not aware.
Yeah.
They think it's just I'm going to pay 300 ringgit or less and I just want someone to turn up.
Lunch break! Oh my gosh. So, Clement, could you tell me what is the rough career progression for a CP officer?
You won't be a team leader or a PPO, definitely not. You would start off on the ground as part of either the advanced team or perhaps as a security driver. As you impress your team leader or protective services manager, you will get put in more roles of trust, slightly higher pay scale for that. And obviously team leaders get paid the most because not only do they have to manage a team, it's a hell of a lot of paperwork and not a lot of sleep and a lot of dealing with problems, politics as well.
I see. So then what are the rough salary ranges for these different roles?
The absolute minimum they would start off as is 2,900 ringgit or 3,000 ringgit as a simple security detail, security advance party, could be a driver, that sort of stuff. A normal CP officer, personal escort section, if you're close to principal, ranges from within 3.5 to 5 grand. A PPO between 5 and 7.
Wow.
And a team leader between 8 and 12 grand a month.
So I think that's all we have for lunch break.
Let's hurry back.
Yeah. So, in what situations would you actually need firearms?
If there is imminent threat, then yes, we would make the call to deploy firearms, the license carrier and use holders. The last thing we want to do is get into a shootout with gang members. We don't want to do that. I think there's a common misconception. I think in the show The Bodyguard as well, there's a scene where the principal's being attacked by a sniper. Instead of protecting his principal, he runs towards the threat.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a CP officer, your main objective should be to move away from the threat, not towards the threat.
Yeah. Right. Aside from firearms, what other methods of protection do you usually use?
We have dual purpose vests. They are both ballistic and stab resistant. The most important weapon is a gift of the gab, really. We don't carry stuff like handcuffs or anything because we're not police officers. We're not in the business of incapacitating people. We want to get away from danger. Right? The longer you stay and engage with someone physically, the more danger there is to your principal. So you want to get them out of danger ASAP. I think a lot of people, especially in Southeast Asia, tend to get mixed up in gangs. That's probably the highest risk that we've ever encountered. But yeah, because we conducted counter surveillance, we were able to identify who were the individuals and take preventive measures to stop an altercation from even occurring.
I never thought of it that way. So coming back to protecting the principal itself, what are some of the red flags that you look for?
Is it just me or that guy wearing this particular set of clothes with that hair has been following us? I've seen him twice now in 20 minutes, right? Or that guy sitting down there, he's had like one coffee over the past hour and he's on the same page on his newspaper for some reason. Or yeah, that BMW, I see these two cars, they've been with us for the past 3 hours. They keep changing, but I keep seeing that car.
So there's a lot of observation. What about when your principal is talking to somebody? How do you assess the person's threat level or risk assessment?
So before the principal even meets the guy, we'll go, okay, who are you meeting today? Okay, this person, great. Who is he to you? Can you provide their name and the company that they work for? Our team will then do due diligence on them. We would have mapped out history, known associates, that sort of stuff, and we make use of our intelligence team to do that.
So earlier you mentioned that you have CP officers who are also drivers and they drive defensively, of course. Is it possible for us to see your CP officers in action?
Yeah, sure, we'll pull the cars around and let's give it a go.
So guys, we were supposed to film outside, but because it rained, we're back in the office. So Clement, could you walk us through what just happened?
The first thing you saw was the M-bus and the D-bus drill. So M-busing means the escorting into a vehicle of a principal by our CP officers. When the PPO opens the door, he sort of provides body cover. He does it deliberately just to ensure that nothing gets in the way or nothing tries to go and attack the principal. The second thing that you saw was we reenacted an interception of another vehicle. Car 1 is always the car containing the principal. And you'll notice when the chase car tried to sort of intercept the first car. Car 2 immediately blocked the path of that chase vehicle, lingered for just a few seconds, and then the second car went after the principal's car. You don't want to stay in an area where you can get targeted. The third thing we did was a cross-stacking drill. You would have seen two vehicles side by side, and that happens when the lead car fails and you are under threat. So we need to get the principal from car 1 to car 2, and then car 2 can go.
What are some of the qualifications or requirements that somebody would need to join Atlas as a CP officer?
Yes, in order to answer that question, I think I need to introduce you to our accrediting body, Highfield, and you'll see Highfield as well, right? So these are a UK accrediting agency which recognizes and issues certificates for the SIA course. So we teach, they assess, and they issue certificates. We supply close protection officers, and we also do training to accredit these people up to the standards. To join us as a CP officer, I would probably look at someone who's slightly older, 25, 26, who's got a bit of life experience. Because what you don't want is to have someone who's wet behind the ears, right? But if anyone proved to us that they were mature enough, that they were eager enough to learn, then yeah, we would definitely have them in.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Clement, for allowing us to clock in with you and your crew. Are there any last words that you would like to say to the people watching?
Do follow our Instagram page and our Facebook page. If you simply search Atlas Solutions on Facebook, you'll get us straight away. Don't forget, it's this sort of logo, right? If you want to find out more about our services, go to our website. Simply Google Atlas Solutions Malaysia. Thank you very much again for your time.
Thank you so much, Clement.
All right, cheers.
If you like what you see so far, be sure that you're following us on all our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Our handle is We Are Clocking In. And we recently clocked in with a professional clown. And you would think that clowning is all just funny business, but that is not true. So make sure you check the video out. This is Michelle clocking out. Bye!